standing on a roof looking down at your burning kingdom or a load of dead bodies. Maybe you're avenging something, maybe there's blood all over you, but we are going to look at Ninjageddon, which is Nioh 2, Sekiro in the middle there, and then we've got Wulong, which is new on Game Pass and the current gen systems. I am Couch Coop, and let's get this started. There is a few things I want to talk about with Nioh 2. This is a cool game because it offers a very good PlayStation 5 healthy boost on performance, offers this movie mode and performance toggles, and it's not a young game anymore now, I think 2019, so it's not as old as Sekiro, but it's certainly showing its age up against the brand new Wulong, which is from the same team, and it also offers kind of almost the same art style with a lot of these particles being around and standing at your shrines, and it's got a similar system to it, but it's got a few nuances that push it into the current gen sort of gaming sphere. It's kind of moved with the times, Wulong, and Nioh 2 has and hasn't. That's what we're going to look at, and we're going to talk about whether Sekiro is still worth going back to. On the scenic beauty front, Sekiro is still blowing me away. It runs at 4K and a peg 60 frames per second on the PlayStation 5, and it really enhances these visuals and set pieces. It takes itself very seriously on how cool feudal Japan looks in this game. So Sekiro's totally smashed it in this category. Our second stop is what I call day-to-day combat. This is Nioh 2 that we're looking at, and it's interesting because I've got dual-wielded axes which behave very differently to the swords or even the pikes and spears. It's, I know, an obvious one, but when you combine that with those four stances over on the top right, you've got a lot of outcome when it comes to the different sets of weapons that you're putting on. Nioh 2 is head and shoulders above Sekiro and even Wulong on that front, with offering even way too much complication on some levels with weapon variety and that stance system. All three of these games come with a guard, and they come with a meter that builds on that guard taking hits and your enemy also receiving hits when they're guarding and you're attacking. I call it a twanger meter. It's a very technical term. There's slightly different systems in all three of the games. Nioh 2's gives you a chance to rebirth it and completely get all your stamina back from delivering loads of damage or taking loads of hits. Sekiro's methods are a little bit more simplified, giving you a huge yellow bar at the bottom of your screen indicating how many twangs you can take before your stance breaks. Same thing goes for the enemies. Once you get that open, you get a red dot and you can go in for a finisher. There are some slight nuances on that, including the Mekon counter, but my point being, if you just tap that defend button, you're likely to get the cool clang, which equals a red dot early doors. You can go straight in for the end kill. I know I've not explained that very well. It will become a bit more apparent later in the video. Sekiro is also the only one of the three to feature a true stealth system, and a very good one. You also don't have any idea of the enemy's vision cone. You can also eavesdrop, Metal Gear style, which is really cool. You get like battle information, but going in for that ultimate throat stab is totally satisfying, and I miss it in the other two games, to tell you the truth. Wulong's day-to-day is a bit strange for me because it is a Nioh game with a double jump, quite literally, and almost a bit of wall climb. So traversal's quite free and you feel very liberal for a game that used to exist on an almost completely flat plane. But back to the day-to-day point, it's very cool being able to run with the stick, not having the face button being run, which is definitely the way forward. Being able to click in and highlight enemies very quickly. This game is super hectic and fast, and it is all about the counter. We will talk about that later. I wanted to talk about mid and mini bosses. It's a really important area for a Souls-like or a Souls game, is to have enemies that are kind of hidden up. They have cool things, you have to look for them, and they are always quite obscure or offer some cool drop. This boosts the idea of exploring for me, and some of the stuff you come across in Nioh 2 is so off the hook and difficult. That's one thing I will say. Nioh 2 could be the hardest of these three games. I know that point might well be argued because Nioh 2 offers you the opportunity to get really OP ahead of going for a fight, but if you were to just go in raw or at the applied level, you'd see a straight up wall with a lot of the bosses in Nioh 2. We had it with Nioh 1 also. But let's look at Sekiro's madness on that front, because the game is quite linear. That's where it's a bit weaker on looking for secret things or finding really cool hidden bosses. From Always Adam, they are there. It's just not enough of them as far as I'm concerned, and there's not enough variety of them. But it's definitely cool fighting these two. Man, the speed of this game. Wulong does do quite well on this front. It's got a different system with the open world map setup. What I mean is you're walking around looking for these various markers that you put your staff into that increase that number you see in the center of the screen. Once said number is at the applicable amount, you then go and have the boss fight, and you will see the boss's number above his head. You just won't get anywhere if you haven't put the time in to explore and expand that map. So it does bring with that idea finding these amazing new creatures, and some of them are really unique to the levels themselves. But I think Nioh 2 might be pipping this area for crazy mid-tier mini bosses littered everywhere. Let's get on to a bit of range, because I do enjoy it in a Souls-like, and I enjoy the idea of it being a slot, especially in the Nioh games and in Wulong, finding a cool new bow, finding new crossbows, having to hunt down for the ammo, and being able to deal with fiddly enemies from a distance before you go in. Both of those two games executed pretty well. Sekiro barely touches it, giving you shurikens, and that's about your lot. Wulong has quite a vicious system on enemy detection, and so they swing round really quickly to clock you, so being able to use the bow is a big bonus, and you do get huge damage on it with the headshot delivered. And it is an identical system to its previous games, and I like the fact that they've laid it in unspoiled. There's not like crazy blunderbusses in here yet, or anything like that. You saw quite a few combustive weapons in Nioh 1 actually. Sekiro doesn't really need too much of a projectile weapon, because you're running around quite literally at the speed of a bullet. No one can hit you with anything. You are like the arrow itself. That's the idea of the game, is that you just rush from enemy to enemy, chaining combos, getting these twangs bang on, and just brutalizing everybody face to face, as opposed to taking a position and killing people from afar. This game loves to get its hands dirty, and I respect that. It is all about the swordplay and a few ninja stars. It's also one of the only games that comes with its own winch, which really did open up the Souls format for its games. It was an amazing addition, and having him almost jumping around like that gave the Elden Ring a lot more relevance for me. I can never go back to a Souls game that hasn't got a jump in it. Trust me, you try it. Dark Souls 1, Bloodborne, you'll be going for it all the time. It's a done deal now, and Sekiro was kind of at the start of that. And I think that's where Nioh 2 starts to stumble, because it does offer no traversal in that direction whatsoever. Of course, you get to go up a ladder and go across a catwalk and stand on a roof, but having the opportunity to jump into an attack or use it to get out of trouble, or even do some tricky platform sections, goes a long way in a Souls-like now. What Nioh 2 does smash though is having an unbelievably good loot system and some really cool looking gear. Wulong's gear, despite it being from the same team and also trying to maybe pitch it at the same period, does not have the badassery or the cool shinobi ninja stuff that Nioh 2's got running through it. That goes for the weapons as well. That brings me to main bosses, and this one's really difficult because Sekiro's got the best in the series of 3 games. The way that it sets them up with their sort of weird character angles as well. Some of them might have a horse, they might have different weapons, they might have different behaviours, they might shout crazy stuff at you. It's very cool, it's very story driven. From always do that, they pump loads of characters into their bosses. The animations are phenomenal. This was spectacular. Wulong has got some crazy stuff going on with this. What it likes to do is give a boss that's got to be defeated in one particular way. It might be a certain type of counter, or it might be some weird spell that you've got to use. It'll have a weakness. I do and don't like that. The opening fights are out and out clattery and just really need you to just smash forward. But this one was particularly difficult. You're spending the whole time avoiding him. So flash on the moves though, when you do get stuff actually going. This fight and scene, for running on a, 9th generation system, I know this is PlayStation 5 footage, but it blew all of our minds back then, how clever and cool the boss fights were in Sekiro. Nioh 2, you're not going to see anything out of the sphere that you saw in Nioh 1. And so this is how the scores are going to work out. I think Sekiro is kind of still the daddy of these three games, closely followed by Wulong. It's a very good title. It's got a hard job to do, a very prickly market to try and get ahead of some of these amazing Souls-likes, and it's also got a tough job to follow by being better than Nioh 2, which it totally does with its aerial and traversal mechanics, and I love its new parry system, giving the game so much flash that you'll light the room up just fighting people. I have been Couch. I will see you, Dan.